When Tammy Zywicki was just 20 years old, she was already a senior in college. She had just recently returned from summer vacation after spending some time studying in Madrid. She was majoring in history and Spanish and soon planned on beginning her internship at the Art Institute in Chicago. She had plans to graduate and begin working on a career in sports photography. But all of that would soon change when Tammy vanished without a trace, leaving her family desperate for answers. Just 2 days before her disappearance, Tammy and her brother, Darren, were taking a trip back to their colleges after spending some time at home in New Jersey. Darren needed to be dropped off in Evanston, Illinois, while Tammy would continue to Grinnell the next day. Their trip went perfectly fine for the most part, but they were having a few issues with Tammy's car. Along their way, they thought they'd finally figured out the issues with their vehicle, allowing Tammy to continue on her journey back to college the following day, seemingly without any issues. The following morning, Tammy's brother checked out the car one final time before she left for the final leg of her journey. Everything seemed to be in order, so he simply warned Tammy that if she were to have any issues, to pull over at the nearest rest stop and ask for help. As fate would have it, Tammy didn't even make it halfway through the trip before car troubles would plague her journey once more. Around this time, more than 60 people reported seeing Tammy on the side of the road, looking under the hood of her car. According to several police reports at the time, at least 26 different people pulled over to try to help her, but they all left, with Tammy remaining stranded on the side of the road. She was pulled over near an exit ramp for Utica, but it doesn't seem like she ever made it any further than that. When Tammy never called her parents that evening, they began to worry about her. They relentlessly called police and begged for them to go out to search for her, and police eventually hesitantly agreed shortly thereafter. They found that her car was no longer parked on the side of the road, and soon learned that it had been towed away. I'm not going to pretend to understand the legality of what took place afterward, but police say that a series of legal issues prevented them from taking fingerprints from the car after it had been towed. This was important because when they finally arrived, Tammy was nowhere to be seen. Her family had no idea where she may have gone, or who she would have gone with, so they were desperate to search for prints in hopes that it may shed light on who had picked her up that day, if anyone. Without this vital piece of evidence, police were left at a dead end. Officers were able to conclude that there were no signs of a struggle on or around the vehicle. Police also say that everything that was in her car appeared to have still been inside when the vehicle was towed. However, both her purse and camera were missing. The case wouldn't find any more leads until 8 days after Tammy had disappeared. A man was driving through Joplin, Missouri, more than 500 miles away from where Tammy had broken down, when he needed to pull over to rearrange some tools in the bed of his truck so that they wouldn't be damaged by the incoming rain. As he pulled over, he noticed a terrible smell coming from something nearby. He looked around briefly and noticed a red Kenworth Trucking Company blanket just a few feet away. He approached the blanket and saw that it had been wrapped around something and was bound with duct tape. As police would soon learn, the body of Tammy was bundled up inside. She had been stabbed to death and ditched on the side of the road. If it hadn't been for this truck driver pulling over in this exact location when he did, it's highly likely Tammy's body would have never been found. It's now been more than 30 years since Tammy disappeared, and police are no closer to solving her case now than they were all those years ago. There have been a few leads in her case since then, but none of these leads led to any additional evidence or information. Passers-by reported seeing a truck and trailer pulled over near where Tammy broke down. The truck had 2 dark orange stripes going down the side, as did the trailer. The man driving was reported to have been about 6 feet tall and between 30 and 45 years old. We don't know if the man in question actually had anything to do with her disappearance, but police strongly suspect that he may know what happened to Tammy. Even now, Tammy's purse and camera have never been found, nor has the wristwatch that she wore. The watch is known to have had an umbrella on the face and played a musical number if you touched one of the buttons. Her family still holds out hope that after all these years, new leads will eventually appear in her case. Tammy would be just 50 years old this year, but as time passes by, it becomes more and more likely that her case may never be solved. But that's the video for today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. If you loved it, maybe consider sharing, subscribing, or clicking that blue join button below to really show your support for the channel. But I've been Ty Knots. You guys have been lovely, and I'll catch you in the next video.